All right, welcome everyone. My name is K. Michael Russell. I am a comic book colorist. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I usually do coloring tutorials on this channel, and but now I'm playing the role of tech reviewer here. This is a full review of the Wacom Mobile Studio Pro. I have the 16-inch. Just came out, the last couple of weeks, and I've been drawing with it and coloring with it for the last couple of days. And let's see, I think I've done, I don't know, 6 or 7 pages in the last 2 nights, and so I've had a pretty good amount of time with it. And to start off with, I want to say this is by far the best tablet that I've ever used. We're gonna kind of go over some pros first, and then a couple of cons and some quirks that I'll show you guys. But first off, before I get into all the nuts and bolts, it really is a very, very smooth tablet. I mentioned in the first impressions video a couple of days ago, it's the screen quality is fantastic. It's a 4K screen, squashed all the way down to 16 inches, which, relatively speaking, that's small for a 4K monitor. So it's a very, very dense, really, really high quality screen, and I can't say enough about that. The screen quality is amazing. Like I said before, no parallax at all on the video as far as the distance between your pen and the where the cursor is basically negligible. You really can't notice it at all. And I actually have notes for once. I usually don't have notes, so I'm going to read a bit. It's very fast in general, just getting around Windows and using the Photoshop. And I've seen some reviewers that and a couple people on Twitter that were complaining about lag on this thing. At least on my unit, I'm just not seeing it at all. And one of the videos that I saw, someone was complaining about the lag in it, and there was a little bit of lag on the video, but with certain types of brushes that have a lot of texture to them, you get a really big brush, there's going to be lag no matter what sort of computer it is. I have my desktop is that I put together this year is a really, really powerful computer. It's a 6-core CPU, i7, 32 gigs of RAM, the fastest M2 SSD you can buy. Like, I'm not saying this to brag about my desktop, but I'm making the point that even it, on some brushes in certain ways, there's lag. There's significant lag in some cases. If you get a 600 megapixel brush with a heavy texture and go crazy, it's really fast. It's gonna lag. So I haven't had that problem at all. There hasn't been any lag. As far as the color quality out of the box is pretty good. I ended up lowering the brightness considerably because, as a colorist, especially in working in comics, you definitely don't want your screen too bright, because if it is, you're really getting a false impression of how bright it's going to be on the page. If anything, you would want your monitor to be a little bit darker. So I've darkened it almost halfway from the factory standard, and just tweaked with the colors a little bit. I don't really use, personally, I don't really use a one of those color correction hardware things. I mean, I've had one, but they end up making things look weird when I try to use them, so I've kind of given up on them. I just sort of eyeball it. But I did a few color tweaks on it, and it was good to go. I just basically tried to match it up with my other two monitors here. But anyway, let's see what else. So, like I said, overall, I'm very, very pleased with it. There was nowhere near the difference in the when I first got my 13-inch Cintiq, from going from working on a big monitor to down to a 13-inch screen, felt very cramped, and I found myself just getting sort of irritated with just the flow of things, and it just didn't feel right to me. And I used it a lot on the road, but at home I very rarely used that tablet. I did not have that problem at all with this one. Two reasons for that. One, it's 3 extra inches. Okay, so 16 and 13 inches. It doesn't sound like a big difference to most, but it's a huge difference when it comes to screen size. The other thing is the resolution. The Cintiq Companion 1, which I had before, was significantly lower in the resolution. So the menus took up much more space on the screen. Whereas with this, with 4K, everything is much more compressed, it's much smaller. So again, it's just, I was instantly able to just work at the same speed that I'm used to working on my Intuos 2, which, for me is what I use most of the time. So it didn't take me any longer. I did set up a few shortcuts on the express keys to run actions and things like that. It's actually, to me, more convenient than what I had set up before. So that's been very useful. So as far as just workflow, I'm really, really enjoying it. Did some pages for Postal in the last couple of days, and like I said, it's been good. So that's all the good stuff. What are the cons now? Or the quirks, I guess you could say. They're not so much cons as just sort of quirky, most of them anyway. So first thing, and I didn't realize this when I purchased it, this doesn't have USB ports. Okay, it doesn't have any standard USB ports. It only has USB-C ports, which is cool. I mean, it's new technology. It's emerging technology right now. It's not as heavily adopted as Apple and apparently Wacom think it is. So Apple got a lot of flack for only having the USB-C ports on their MacBooks. It's really the same thing here. You get 3 USB-C ports and not a single standard USB port. So what does that mean? It means that the Bluetooth dongle for my keyboard doesn't fit. It means that my flash drive, my webcam, like everything that uses external hard drive, everything that uses standard USB ports, I have to go with you guys can actually see this little dongle over here with the USB thing stuck in it. And I picked them up online cheap. It's not a huge expense, but it's a little quirky. I mean, I was able to get it working, and I've also ordered a hub now for this because you pretty much have to have one. That will be less and less of an issue going forward as USB-C is more heavily adopted. And if you're not familiar with it, it's basically it's a little bit smaller than standard USB, and it's reversible either way. You know how with the USB port you'd have to try it and it wouldn't work, then you try it and it wouldn't work, and then you try it and it worked for some weird reason. That's not a deal. That's not an issue with USB-C. It's just you plug it in and it works every time because it's reversible. It's a quirk, and I hope that that the devices come out and there's not a lot of USB-C stuff out right now. So it also has no video output by default. So there's no video output, and so you can't connect it to an external display, and you can't connect it to a PC without the Wacom link, is what it's called. It's a little box that Wacom has on their website as an accessory for this, but it is not available right now. Okay, so again, I really want to be able to hook this to my desktop system and use it as more of a standard Cintiq. But it's one of those things that I'm going to have to wait on this Wacom link thing to come out. So it's a bit of an inconvenience. It's not a huge problem, of course, because it works as a standalone unit. But I've got more power in my desktop than I do this, so it would just be more convenient to use it and not have to use separate drop boxes and all that sort of stuff, at least while I'm at home. So I'm looking forward to the Wacom link coming out so that I can hook those things up. But again, that will connect to one of the USB-C ports. And so there are no standard video outs on this right now. I talked about this in the first impressions video, but if this is the first review of mine that you're watching, it doesn't include a stand. There are no kickstands. Nothing folds out. There's nothing that will make this thing stand up on the desk. Okay, that comes in the box, and that is, of course, it's a $50 stand. Okay, like the Cintiq Companion, you can get the stand for about $50. So I'm assuming the stand for this is going to be about $50. When you take that into account, $50 versus the cost of this, which is this model is $2,400. There's also a $3,000 model, okay? The stand is 2% of that cost, okay? Most likely. So why not throw it in the box? That's the one really huge disappointment to me, is having to spend another probably 50 bucks, hopefully 50 bucks. Hopefully it's only 50 bucks on a stand to be able to use this thing off of this swing arm. And someone's going to ask, so I'll go ahead and explain. This doesn't have like a Visa mount. It's just basically flat on the back. This arm you guys are seeing it was designed by someone and cut out of acrylic, and he sells it on his website. I'll put a link in the description so you guys can check it out. It was designed for the Cintiq Companion 1, but it works with this, and believe it or not, it uses it uses command strips, like the 3M command strips, which is like Velcro on steroids. And I know what you're thinking. You're trusting this to, industrial Velcro. Each one holds about 12 pounds. There are 4 of them connected to the back of this thing, so that's 50 pounds worth of lifting strength. It's not going to fall off anytime soon. It's very, very stable. So anyway, that's what I'm using, and it's an Ergotron arm. I've had that for a while, but I'll try to find a link to that too. But yeah, like I said, the stand to me, I've harped on it for a while, but it's just irritating that that is not included to begin with. And I'm a Wacom guy. Like, I know most of the people that are watching this are probably not. I'm getting a lot of viewers that are not normal viewers for me. You're just looking for reviews of this product. I am a Wacom guy. I bleed Wacom, whatever their color is. So I have an Intuos 2 that is 14 years old this year. I've had the Cintiq Companion. I'm a huge fan of what they do. So I'm not a Wacom basher. There's a whole little minority of people that just whatever want to bash them on price or whatever. But another quirk of this thing is fan noise. It's under normal usage, going around Windows and the browser and those sort of things, it's very, very quiet. If you start doing much of anything that's really pushing the processor, using big brushes, trying to capture the screen. I was doing some screen recording. The fan it's not loud, but it's much louder than my Cintiq Companion was. It's about like an external hard drive, that's spinning up is what, as far as volume wise, it kind of sounds about like that. So it's definitely not silent. I saw a review that talked about how quiet it was, and it was under light usage. But like I said, if you start doing pretty heavy duty stuff with it, it does get fairly noisy, and which is again odd to me, because they've marketed this to 3D modelers and sculptors, as well as digital artists and 2D artists. So 3D artists, it's marketing them heavily. That requires a lot of power. It requires a lot of memory. It requires a lot of hard drive speed and all those things, and so doing heavy duty work with it, it's gonna make some noise. Like I said, it's not. I put on the music and I don't even really hear it. But the fan cuts off and on when it starts heating up, and again, kind of a quirk. It's not a deal breaker or anything, but it is something to consider. And I want to say something else about the price overall. Now, number one, if I thought the price was unreasonable, I wouldn't have purchased it. So obviously I don't think the price is unreasonable, and I'll explain why. There's a lot of people that are talking about how overpriced it is and how it's way too expensive. I'm going to tell you why I don't believe that's true. Number one, forget for a second that it's a digital drawing tablet. Okay, pretend it is a PC, tablet PC. The specs are very stout. Okay, this is a very, very powerful, very compact tablet PC. The video card in this thing is a Quadro. Those are workstation, mobile workstation cards. Those are high-end video cards. So you have a lot of power in a very, very small package. That's always expensive. Okay, you compare that to a high-end Surface Pro or any of those sort of things. Some of the Apple stuff, those are expensive. So if you took the digitizer out of the equation and the drawing part out of the equation, you're still looking at probably a $1,200 to $1,500 machine. Okay, now throw in a a Cintiq drawing tablet on top of that. So if you look at the pricing on like the 13 HD and some of the even smaller Cintiqs, they're $1,500, they're $1,200, $1,000, so they're just putting both of those things together, and so the price to me makes sense given what it is. It's a high end computer with the Wacom tech. You're going to pay for that, and they've kind of cornered the market for the most part, and so they can get away with charging what they do. But I don't think the price is unreasonable. Um, and one last thing about price, I talked to a lot of people and people that have commented or messaged me about that they feel like they need to spend this kind of money on an expensive tablet. I mean, relatively speaking, it is an expensive tablet. Um, and it's just not the case. Like I said, I know a bunch of you guys are probably not used to being on here on my channel watching this video today, but for the last 14 years, and it's still sitting right in front of me, I have had an N202, okay, 6x8. Some of you guys were barely probably born when I bought this thing. So it's 14 years old. It still works just like it did the day that I got it. I've got 100+ videos on YouTube. Every single one of them, except for I think one, I recorded on that tablet. Okay, you can get it on eBay for $50 now. So don't let the idea that because you see an artist on YouTube or one of the artists that you're a fan of that they have a Cintiq or they have a really high-end computer or a high-end tablet that you have to have that. It's a convenience. There's definitely pluses to drawing directly on the screen, but it's not a deal breaker. I've made my entire coloring career on what at the time was about a $200 tablet, $250 tablet, I think. But even that, they've got them even cheaper than that now. I mean, they've got $80, $100, tablets that are nice tablets, that would do the job, and so don't let the tech discourage you from pursuing that. Don't use that as an excuse because it really doesn't matter much what sort of tablet you're working on. So that about wraps it up. That's my full review of the Wacom Mobile Studio Pro 16. And if you liked it, if you liked the video today, be sure to subscribe. Don't expect a whole lot of tech review videos, though. This is like the first or second really I've ever done. So usually it's coloring tutorials, but if that's your thing, then stick around and watch some more stuff. But thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.